Tonight, as the Trump administration stares down a court-ordered deadline to fix a problem entirely of its own creation, there is a drastic idea from one of the country's top experts on government ethics on what should happen in reaction to the humanitarian crisis at the border. Walter Schaub, former director of the Office of Government Ethics under President Obama and initially under President Trump, tweeted, "The administration stole these babies and children, then destroyed the records needed to return them. When they miss the deadline, the court should hold Secretaries Nielsen and Azar in contempt, jail them until their agencies prove that every last child has been returned." The Trump administration acknowledged today that it will miss the deadline to reunify children with their families and has requested an extension from the court. In a hearing with the California federal judge who ordered the reunifications, government lawyers said U.S. Health and Human Services would only be able to reunify about half of the approximately 100 children under the age of 5 by the deadline of July 10th. For 19 children, their parents have been released from custody into the United States, and their whereabouts are unknown. Another 19 children's parents have been deported. But only 10 days ago, HHS Secretary Alex Azar made the claim that it's easy to locate the children in U.S. custody.
There is no reason why any parent would not know where their child is located. I could, at keystrokes, I've sat on the ORR portal with just basic keystrokes within seconds, could find any child in our care for any parent.
Apparently it's not that easy. Reuniting all the children with their parents will not happen before Tuesday's deadline, if it will ever happen at all. The New York Times reports that records linking children to their parents have disappeared and in some cases have been destroyed, according to 2 officials at the Department of Homeland Security. Joining us now is Mariana Atencio, who has tirelessly been covering this border crisis for MSNBC, and Maria Teresa Kumar, the president and CEO of Voto Latino and an MSNBC contributor. Welcome to both of you. Mariana, what is the update? You've just received one from the government.
I was at that, listening to the status hearing, Ali. Basically, we found out that the government lost track of 38 parents of these tender-age children. You mentioned it in the numbers. 19 parents were deported. 19 other parents released to the U.S., their whereabouts unknown. So basically, the judge is asking the government to provide a master list of the 101 children under the age of 5 by tomorrow at 5 p.m. And basically, the judge said, listen, I'm willing to give you an extension of this deadline. The deadline is Tuesday, by the way, but you have to give me a reason. So you have to comply. You have to give me the list of children, but put them in categories and tell me we can't reunify these kids because, you know what, we deported their parents, and then I will decide on a case-by-case basis. But there needs to be some urgency because there's still, again, 101 children under the age of 5 that haven't been reunified with their parents.
Maria, 19 children of tender age were separated from their parents, and then their parents were deported without the children? I mean, where are we living?
Well, and that's the absurdity, because now the U.S. government, what they are trying to fight is saying that they shouldn't be responsible for the reunification of these families that they basically separated by a flimsy policy that the Trump administration decided to do literally less than 2 months ago. But when you start digging in a little deeper into these facts, you also recognize not only is the extent of the cruelty, they are also providing now government contracts to former defense contractors that manage facilities in Iraq and Afghanistan. Most recently today was Reveal.org found that there is a Phoenix holding facility that didn't have a kitchen, that only had 3 bathrooms, that basically held children of tender age for over 3 weeks, run by a government contractor of MVM, run out of a facility, out of Virginia. And again, the MVM is normally a defense contractor that manages facilities for folks in Afghanistan. It is unbelievable. And the fact that the Trump administration right now is saying that they should not be responsible for this reunification, it's not only on our watch, but we should be demanding a government oversight hearing tomorrow. Trey Gowdy, Elijah Cummings need to bring in and basically get the record straight. every single agency head right now is singing a different tune because they have not been asked to testify before Congress. We need to make sure that Jeff Sessions, that ORR, Lloyd is the head of ORR, Scott Lloyd is being questioned, that Azur is being questioned, and also Secretary Nielsen, because we need to have clear answers to make sure that we can actually unify these children. There is one government contractor that has all of the information. It is the nonprofit Vera Institute. They are the government contractor that have managed every single entry of every single child that has been managed by ORR. They cannot release the information by the public. What they need to do is, in order to get the information, parents have to go to the Vera Institute to request this information.
Last night in Montana, the president went on an attack of Elizabeth Warren in which he used the pejorative about calling her Pocahontas. He attacked her claim to be of Indian heritage. She responded, interestingly. She said, "Hey, real Donald Trump, while you obsess over my genes, your administration is conducting DNA tests on little kids because you ripped them from their mamas and you are too incompetent to reunite them in time to meet a court order. Maybe you should focus on fixing the lives you're destroying." Tell me about this, Mariana. They're having to resort to DNA testing. So the bottom line is the allegations, the reports we're hearing that records have been either lost or destroyed seem to be true.
First of all, let's even go back a little further. The fact that they're requesting DNA testing, fingerprinting at this point in the game, Ali, means that the intake, when they originally separated the kids from the parents, wasn't done properly. This is the claim by many of the organizations that are helping these families get reunified. If you write down, Ali Velshi, who are your kids, and you know where one kid is and you know where the parent is, you wouldn't need to do DNA testing and fingerprinting, which obviously is going to take weeks, if not months. But then in addition to that, you're doing DNA testing, some lawyers say, on little kids without the consent of their parents because their parents may have been deported. We know that's the case of 19 out of the 101. And in addition to that, I've been speaking to Maria, a mother from El Salvador who we profiled on your show. She told me she got the request for DNA and fingerprinting birth certificates this week. She's trying to get reunified with her 2-year-old and her 7-year-old. So the fact that this request is coming in this late in the game also leads you to believe that it was either destroyed originally or not.
Right, I'm trying to get my head around whether this is cruelty or incompetence or both. But there is something that now is sinister about the fact that we are DNA testing these people. I get
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. There are multiple civil rights organizations that are basically saying that you are violating the rights of a child because you're asking them to basically provide to consent to something, to their DNA, and putting it in a government database. Where at this point in time, frankly, people are trusting the government less. Let's not forget there are 800,000 DACA recipients that came out of the shadows that are now may face deportation under this government. The idea that now you're going to collect people's genetic DNA and trust this government that they're going to do right by it is really a long stretch.
But this whole conversation, I can't say it enough. I mean, I say it every day as many times as I'm on TV.
It's Orwellian, Ali.
Because it's not actually illegal to be an asylum seeker. There is no crime anywhere. It's just not a crime to seek asylum.
Well, unless it was an American lawyer that actually crafted international refugee laws. We are the ones that crafted the standards to say this is what it means to actually step foot into another country and ask for asylum. We are technically, by law, supposed to be providing these individuals not locking them up and separating their families and providing the most cruelest means necessary, but instead providing them respite, having them opportunity to speak counsel, have an opportunity to actually talk to have a judge actually understand their case, and then we are supposed to make a final decision. But we crafted these laws. The UN declared 3 weeks ago that we are violating human rights laws, the rights of children, by separating families and children. We are violating so much standards. And what concerns me is that we are now basically telling the world that we're abdicating our responsibility of our moral right to making sure that we are protecting the most vulnerable. And there are other countries that are watching very closely, and how they are going to impact other minorities and other refugees is quite serious of what we're telling the rest of the world right now, Ali.
Final thought, Ali. when you talk to the parents, this is about little kids that are in the middle of all this. And I just want to give you one example. This is a phone call I made an hour ago before coming on the air. It's a lawyer who represents a parent trying to get reunited with her 8-year-old and her 10-year-old. And she said, Mariana, within the facility, the kids requested to sleep in the same room. They have them in completely different, isolated areas. So even in the details, if you were to treat an American child like that in a country like Turkey or Russia, what would the U.S. government do?
We'd be in an uproar. Mariana Atencio, thank you for your continued reporting on this. Maria Teresa Kumar, thank you for your continued analysis and support of bringing this to an end.